Hey guys, just before the video starts, I want to talk about my Patreon, which if you haven't seen my Help Me Make a Fair Patreon video, if you haven't seen that, go watch that because there are some changes I'm making. First, every tier from $1 up will get the access to the Discord, and the $2 tier will be reserved for polls that can be either for future videos or just random polls or whatever the case may be. And for the $25 tier with like the Lego set one, I think it's a bit sketchy on my part, so I'm just going to delete it until I can think of something better. And in addition to that, I'd like to thank Benjamin Scotford and George Lowe's for being my first ever patrons. Now, though they didn't pledge for the $15 video shoutout tier, I'm making one special exception because they are my first ever patrons. So thanks to them for supporting me, and if you want to support me as well, the link will be in the description and in the pinned post. Now please enjoy the ranked video. I know it's long overdue, so you don't need to keep reminding me, but hey, you got it. Now, I know I knocked Kazim pretty hard in his desert variant, but this version is pretty good, even though he went down like a chump by Indiana Jones. Why do I like this Kazim better? Well, for one, I like his suit better, and two, his boss fight was among one of my favorites in the game. There's this huge body of water, and your goal is to just barge into him while he's just wandering around in the water. Like, he doesn't even seem to give a damn about you until you hit him a few times. Then, for some reason, he opts to land on an island in the middle of the water, further cornering himself in for you. I just thought that it was fun roaming around in a boat, you know. Usually the game gives you very little space to ride a boat in, like in the very first level with Sadapo's ratchet-ass twig boat. Anyway, Kazim was quite the cool guy, and at least his men did something in that level. He's quite an abstract character in the sense that you unlock this character in the store after beating the young Indy bonus level. He's basically the inspiration for adult Indiana Jones's look. I mean, come on. Fedora just looks a tad meaner, but that's like the only difference. Oh, and Fedora has a pistol. Kazim in the last segment had a pistol too, I just forgot to mention. Anyway, this man's real name is Garth, with no known last name. Imagine being pregnant for 9 months just to name it Garth and not give him a last name. Wow. After young Indy escaped with the cross of Coronado, my boy Garth followed him to his house and took it back, but left Indy with his fedora. So really, Garth is an essential part of Indiana Jones lore, for he gave young Indy his iconic hat. My God. Can I just get one break? I don't know why Indy kept it though. I thought Indy hated him or something. Ah yes, my boy the Monkey Man. I gotta say, the only reason the Monkey Man is this high is because of his name alone. The Monkey Man? Imagine being this guy in Cairo. Probably everyone knows you because you're that guy with the monkey. It's fantastic. If I recall correctly, the Monkey Man only shows up in the outro cutscene for the City of Danger level in the game. He just smirked maleficently. There's no indication of his correlation with the plot. But then again, he barely played a role in Raiders of the Lost Ark anyways. But yeah, as I mentioned before, the guy who plays Monkey Man also plays Barranca. And that begs the question. What if Barranca and Monkey Man are the same person? Oh, hey Lego Games Conspiracy Police. Nothing much going on here. I swear I'm not hiding anything. You don't have a warrant, so it's tough like going through my search history. Got him. There's something about this man that just cracks me up. I don't think it's because he's bald. I think his headphones are way too big for him. Like, really guys? It's too hard to adjust those things a bit better on his head? I don't know. Another thing that baffled me, this guy was actually a boss fight. Yes, this guy. You basically chased him around for a key that he had that you needed. I think that this is the most ridiculous boss fight in the game. MOLA Ram on a bridge? Sure. Kazim in a boat chase? Why not? Donovan in a tank while you're on your feet? A bit much, but probably necessary to stay accurate to the movie. Keemstar with a key? Come on now, guys. At least he has a pistol and also enemy access. Enemy access is basically another version of the Thuggy ability. If you're an enemy character, you have access. There were some characters in the list already with enemy access, such as Belloc, but enemy access isn't very rare since you can usually nab a hat from an enemy AI and just fool the guy at the enemy access station. These guys were the bane of my existence when I was younger. Screw these guys. In the Trouble in the Sky level at the beginning, these guys first send down exploding paper airplanes. I know, just that alone is scary, but it gets worse. Next, they parachute in to kill you. At the end of the level though, you get to crash them into planes by making seagulls fly into them, just like in the movie. Can we talk about this for just a minute? How'd that even work? There would be a very slim chance that actually happened if you tried it at home. Henry Jones is played by Sean Connery, and every one of his characters have the extreme plot armor. Meanwhile, Sean Bean has the worst plot armor of all time because his role dies in every movie he's in. Maybe Connery sucked all the plot armor out of Bean. I don't know, but the enemy pilot has the pistol, so... Oh wow, not Thuggy. Yes, but this is unlike any other Thuggy. This is the Thuggy. This is the Thuggy that grew his cult from the ground up. Honestly, he's no different than any other Thuggy. He just has a cool hat. One thing I barely talked about so far in the series is the phobia mechanic. Basically, if a character has a fear of something, they cower in fear when they're in proximity of it, and they pretty much can't do anything against it. Indiana Jones is afraid of snakes, Willie with ants, Elsa with rats, and MOLA Ram with crocodiles. I really didn't know MOLA Ram cowers near crocodiles until researching for this series, but I'm not surprised. He did die by them, after all. But I really talked about phobias because they just aren't utilized as much as they could have been. It might have been used a bit more in a few places, but usually used once per movie campaign. So because of that, I didn't really take it into consideration when ranking. Ergo, that's why MOLA Ram is this high. Now that we've had our little Thuggy break in your monthly program, let's get back to the regular scheduled pointless characters. Yes, another unnamed character that's only here to beef up the roster. And yes, he has a gun, and yes, he has military access. And that's about it. This guy shows up in the Into the Mountains level towards the end when the Sherpa Brawlers are done harassing you. Actually, now that I think about it, this guy only shows up in the final area of that level. They float themselves onto the bridge after you've made it. And then, after you kill them, you rub salt in the wound by blowing up their beloved truck that's blocking the exit. I'm just done with these complete randos taking up the precious slots in my series. The last 3 episodes are chock full of mostly important characters. That is, characters with names. But just bear with me with these enemy guards. Listen, I know, these guards are getting to be a bit much, but what with their sameness between each other, regardless of the uniform color change. I think these guys only showed up in the final level of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is called Opening the Ark. At least that's when you unlock him in the store. And he's just, you know, green and everything. He has a pistol and enemy access, of course. All I'm saying is, when Indiana Jones 5 is made, if Harrison Ford survives that long, I hope they continue making LEGO Indiana Jones sets. They honestly are some of the best sets I've ever laid hands on. And that's not just the nostalgia talking. I hope they remake a lot of the sets from the older movies too. I want to see more Last Crusade and Temple of Doom levels though, since there are only 2 Temple of Doom sets and 3 Last Crusade sets. Guess that's something to dream about. Okay. Don't be mad, guys. If you're going to be mad at the developers of this game for making characters that are basically the same. I mean, I guess you could argue that most Jedi and Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga were copies of each other, but at least it's a reskin. With these guys, they just changed the color of their outfits and made their eyes unneededly blue. Like, aren't the blue in their eyes weirdly strong? I don't know. I know, like, it's the whole Nazi blonde hair, blue eyes crap, but it's kind of weird. Another thing, why is this the enemy soldier while the other two were enemy guards? Also, there's no other character in the game named enemy soldier, so why specify it's the desert variant if there's supposedly no other enemy soldiers? This character should have been named enemy guard like the others, or the enemy guards should have been called enemy soldiers. I don't care which, as long as they had the same name, it would have been tolerable. But like, they're the same, but inconsistent with names. It's just, I'm sorry, I can't. Here's the first person in the entire movie to die in Temple of Doom. Wuhan. I think I've said this before, but dang, is this guy a chump. He just died in an unnatural fashion. Frick this guy, am I right? Anyway, this dude has a machine gun, but I don't know why he does. Machine guns are obviously better because they fire more rapidly compared to pistols. Anyway, I thought I'd just talk about some lore about him since he's more interesting off-screen than he is on-screen. Anyway, the ashes of his sister and mother ended up with Lao Che, who used it to make Wuhan his servant forever. We all know Lao Che, right? Notorious gangster in China, tried to kill Indiana Jones several times. At least he succeeded with Wuhan. I'm sure everyone knows this by now, but the club they were in when the whole Shanghai ordeal went down was called Club Obi-Wan, which is a nice and obvious Easter egg. Anyway, I'm sorry I barely talked about the game, but this guy is just, you know, it's whatever. He has a machine gun though, but then again, I think the developers accidentally associated him with Lao Che's cronies when he actually wasn't, so.